I want to walk you through a series of trials I ran not too long ago. They led to a discovery that was, well, it was surprising. It's about how the very tools we build to find meaning can end up shaping that meaning themselves. I'd like to explore that process with you.
You see, I have this method I use for analyzing subtext in fiction, and I started to wonder, could that same tool, that same process, reveal something true about a completely different kind of writing? Was that methodological leap even possible?
So, to test this idea, I put together a specific protocol. The question at its heart was simple, really. Could a tool that I designed for fictional characters actually work on a cultural essay about technology? I decided to use one of my own essays for the test. It's one called The Paradox of Control. The piece is about this tension I see, how large language models seem to expand our language, but at the same time, they also restrict it. So this essay became the subject for my trials. Okay, so let's start with the first protocol, the one I call V1. This was the initial instrument I built for this purpose.
Protocol V1. It was made specifically for fiction. The whole point is to get beneath the surface of the text, to understand a character not just from what they say or do, but by tracing their subtext. Everything they're thinking and feeling but not saying out loud.
The process itself is pretty rigorous. First, you have to focus only on one character, exclusively. Then you look for what's there, what's present, but also, and this is crucial, what's absent, the silences. And finally, you trace those unspoken tensions, emotional, symbolic, anything like that surround the character.
But when I applied this tool to my essay on technology, something really unexpected happened. The results started pointing toward this unseen drama.
Now, my essay, of course, has no characters. It's an essay. So the AI models, because they were following the V1 protocol, they invented one. To make any sense of the text, they had to personify an idea. They cast human language as a character.
Just look at what the protocol forced the AI to do. It reframed the whole thing as a symbolic drama. You had the human speaker, with memory and risk. Then you had the artificial system with no body, no history, and right in the middle, human language itself became the protagonist.
The result was creative, for sure, but it told me more about the tool than it did about the essay. The protocol had just imposed its own dramatic structure onto a text that was never meant to have one. It was purely argumentative.
And that limitation, that forcing of the method, it made me realize that the tool had to evolve. It really pointed me in a new direction, toward what I call V3.
V1 was just too narrow for what I was trying to do. It became clear that to get at the kind of subtext I was really interested in, I needed a better instrument, a more flexible one. So that's what led me to develop Protocol V3. It's an evolution, an extended version of the original, but this one is designed to analyze abstract agents, things like institutions, systems, concepts, not just characters. And that shift, that was the key. It made the protocol applicable to essays, to documents. So I ran the trial again. Same essay, The Paradox of Control. But this time, I used the new instrument, the more powerful one. And it allowed me to see the text in a completely new way.
The difference in the output, it was immediate and profound. Where V1 saw this symbolic drama, V3 revealed a political system. It saw the language models as these invisible political agents that hold a power they don't even acknowledge.
V3 was able to go straight for the strategic silences. It didn't need metaphors. It saw what was absent in the text. The companies that are never named, the programmers, the legislators, the people who actually define the filters. It saw the real power structure.
So the whole analysis shifted. It wasn't a story anymore, not about characters and conflict. It became a critique of a system, a critique of unacknowledged power, and these invisible forms of control.
Comparing these two trials, the two protocols, it led me to a final and I think crucial reflection. What do our instruments truly reveal?
It's so important to remember this. The AI models, they didn't change between the two trials. They were exactly the same. The only thing that changed was the instrument I gave them. The quality of the analysis, its very nature, it was determined entirely by that instrument.
So in the end, this was never really about judging the AI. The real point was to understand the power of our own analytical frameworks and to see if we can design better instruments, ones that can sharpen our perception of the world.
And that leaves us with a final question, because we all use instruments to think, whether we're aware of it or not. So it's worth asking yourself, what invisible instruments are shaping what you see?